Hey, welcome to BJB Today. Closed out the weekend with some breaking news. Kind of a breaking news Blue Jay Banner today, joined by AJ Andreessen. Hey, Jay.
Morning,
Happy
Tim.
Friday. Thanks to our sponsor, Infusion Brewing Company. Check them out, infusionbrewing.com. Great weekend to go out. It's going to be hot, so it's great weekend to have an ice cold beverage in your hand. So it's a great time to go out to Infusion and check out all the great beers they have to offer. That's infusionbrewing.com. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button as we continue to grow this. Share this with all your friends. Get them to subscribe, because then they'll get this popped up in their feed every morning when it comes out and be able to listen and watch to it. We kind of have a breaking, very loosely term, breaking news episode as the men's basketball schedule came out yesterday afternoon. So we thought, instead of our initial thoughts on today's show, we would jump right into the schedule, because that's what's kind of on everybody's mind. Take a look at it, kind of see what the streaks in the schedule. It's fun to kind of look ahead to the conference schedule and so forth. We do want to mention one thing, though, before we get started with the basketball, and that's the women's volleyball tonight. A huge matchup against number 3 Louisville, a home opener. It's the start of the Blue Jay Invitational. I think Rice and you and I play earlier. For you people out there who are both fans, I believe I'm correct on this, Nebraska plays at 6 on FS1. Creighton plays at 8:30, so it's a good night. Check out both teams. But anyway, big match. Jays really need to get one of these big-time matches that they have. So this would be a great chance to do it, and a great chance to get this victory, and then, finish out the rest of the Invitational. And then next week, obviously on Tuesday, playing Nebraska at CHI. So check that out tonight, 8:30. As you get set for a full weekend of volleyball and a full weekend of football. All right. So yesterday, the men's basketball schedule was complete. We'd already had the non-conference portion. We've got the full schedule pulled up. We'll just briefly go through the non-con, but mostly focus on the conference, because that's what's all new. We've talked about the 2 exhibition games, I think, quite a bit on this show. And those will be October 17th and October 25th. So one's on a Friday night, 7:30 against Iowa State. That'll be huge. I imagine there'll be a lot of Iowa State fans in the crowd. And then the next one is the following Saturday, October 25th. And that's against Colorado State. Just as a side note, AJ, I don't think I'll be here for the Iowa State game, as luck would have it. But we'll talk about that later. At any rate, then we get into the regular season, where we play South Dakota. I mean, that, as bye games go, that's a pretty tough bye game. South Dakota's been pretty good lately, pretty competitive in the Summit. And I think we need that type of game, because then, as you see, the following week we go out to Gonzaga, which is going to be, that's a heavy hitter game to hit off right off the top of the schedule. Then we have 2 bye games against Maryland Eastern Shore and a decent North Dakota team. So I think our bye game schedule, and by the way, people don't understand, bye games mean those are games where you pay the other team to come to your arena and play, is pretty hefty. How do you like the way that first 4 games shakes out?
Yeah, I think getting a chance at Gonzaga early on in the season will be cool for both teams. It'll be a tough, obviously tough a match early in the season, and anything can happen. So it's the way you said it was, it'll be tough to play Gonzaga that early in the year. It's going to be really tough for Gonzaga to play us that early in the year also.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch that one. And then, yeah, I think those, like you said, those bye games are tougher than they have been historically. So it should be a good start to the season.
I'm always fascinated with this, not growing up in this area, but now I've lived here for 30 years, so I feel like I'm a native. But the Nebraska fans are always glass half full. They're always thinking they're going 11-1 in football. They're always thinking they're going to have, a Big Ten championship team basketball. They're always full. Creighton fans are just the opposite. It's always like, oh God, we got to go to Gonzaga, and so you aptly stated very, very good that, hey, it's just as tough for them to play us early as us to play them. And you're right, it is tough. We've seen that over the years. Very tough for teams to play us on short notice, so to speak, like in tournaments, because we're a very tough team to prepare for. Now, they're going to have some time, so it's not going to be like it. So they'll have a little time to prepare. I mean, they'll probably work at it in the off season or during the practice season in October, for crying out loud. But on the other hand, they don't really have a gauge on our team either. They don't know. It's easy. It was easy the last few years. Okay, you know what kind of coverage you're going to get from Kalkbrenner. You have no idea what's going to happen with Owen Freeman or Alexa or Conan. You don't have any idea. So, and you don't have any idea of the roster rotation and where these players are all going to play and so forth. So,
And it's kind of a win-win for us too, because we're not expected to go into Gonzaga in the second game of the year and win.
right, right,
So
right,
we
right, right, right.
have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah. All right, then we head to Vegas. So we take on Monday, we take on Baylor, Tuesday, Iowa State, and then we'll either play Wednesday or Thursday. So if you're like me, getting ready to book, you got to kind of look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe Thursday, and come home Friday. By the way, so something I just didn't notice. It's always been on the schedule, but I didn't notice. I was thinking these games were at the MGM last year, which I thought was awesome. They have moved them to Mandalay Bay this year. I don't know what the deal is. If the arena wasn't available, maybe they're going to have some of the games at MGM, some of the games
I'll say
at
they
the
added a lot of teams, so
Mick
they're probably not
Ultra. Yeah,
gonna
that's
do
probably what it is. You're right. That's exactly probably what it is. Uh, I know the team is not staying at Mandalay Bay or MGM. I think they're staying at Park MGM, which is just, if you're familiar with the strip at all, it's north of the MGM toward the like Caesars and all that, Bellagio. It's that way, but it's not that far down the road. But it does set back off the strip a little bit. But that's where the team is staying. I've breaking news. My sources have told me. So, yeah. Now it threw my whole sync. It threw everything out of sync because I was all planning to stay at the MGM because they were going to comp me. So now I don't know. Now the good thing is for people that are traveling, and we'll get into that. We'll get into all that stuff later. But you can take the shuttle down there. It's pretty painless actually. I did that last year. But that'll be obviously high level. Whoever we play that third game, it's going to be a high level game. So we play two Big 12 teams right off the get go. So Gonzaga, Baylor, Iowa State. An odd situation. We'll face an Iowa State team exactly 1 month apart. That's a little bit unusual. But when you look at, I saw the other day the trip for Maui came out for 2026. Who's going to be in the field? And it was like, that's right, we can't go because we're locked into this. But yeah, it's great to go to Maui, but it's great to get this NIL money from this tournament too. So that's probably way more important. And by the
Yeah,
way,
I
go
think the
ahead.
Maui competition is going down a little bit too. I feel like a lot of those teams are jumping to the NIL
You're
tournament. So
right. The one I looked for 2026, like they had Colorado State in there. They had another like semi mid-major team in there. Arizona was the only team that jumped out at me as a big dog. But that if you look back on, and we should probably do a whole show on this, and maybe when we get closer to the MTs, we can do this. But when you look back in the whole history of these tournaments, how they've changed, like the big two used to be Maui and Bahamas, you know, the Battle in Atlantis. Now, ever since COVID, that was a big, if you remember, we were scheduled to go there, and that was going to be a monster field. Gonzaga was in it, and just for old time's sake, Wichita State was in it too. But at any rate, now things have shifted. The Vegas tournament's the big one. And, way back in the day, the ESPN one that they had down in Orlando was the big one. That's really fallen off the map. St. Thomas was usually pretty decent. It wasn't top flight, but it was pretty good. I looked at the
Right.
field for that. That's dropped way off.
Well, like everything else in college basketball, that's trending. If you put a dollar sign attached to it, people are going to
Yeah,
come.
absolutely. So it ebbs. These tournaments ebb and flow. And in fact, I mentioned the Bahamas. There's another one in the Bahamas that's played in a resort like 30 miles north of where Atlantis is, and it's a beautiful resort. Jack Nicklaus Golf Course, by the way, there. In fact, when we were going to go, when Creighton was scheduled to go there, I was thinking of staying there because you got a big discount. But and it's a gorgeous resort. Oh my God! But they have their own tournament there, and that's drawn. That's like a 4-teamer, I think, and they've drawn some big names to go to that tournament. So things change, and that's the way it is.
Have you actually
All
looked
right.
at the Maui teams this year?
It just came out. Like I think Rothstein just tweeted it out. Oh, for this year? No, I have not. No.
NC
I,
State, Seton Hall, USC, which isn't going to be great, Boise State, Washington State, Arizona State, Texas, and Chaminade.
yeah. So
I would
Texas is the big
definitely
dog
say
there.
that's a down year for the Maui.
Yeah. And then I think next year Arizona is the big dog. So at any rate, yeah, yeah, not the juggernaut we face. That's for sure.
Right.
We
Yeah, another
played
fun tournament.
three top 11 teams in the country that time.
That Creighton
All
Duke
right.
Arkansas game was an all-time game.
Yeah. All time game. All time game. Okay. Then we play another bye game against Nichols, who's been a participant in the NCAA tournament here and there. Then obviously the yearly matchup with Nebraska at Nebraska on a Sunday. Hate Sunday games in the fall. Then Kansas State at home on a Saturday. I'm guessing that'll be a Saturday night game. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. Then, as you know, every year we play those two Big East games before Christmas because of our 20-game schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So we kick it off going to Xavier, which is a little strange, I guess, because when you think of going to Xavier, you think of a lot of weekend games. We've gone to Xavier. This is going to be a Wednesday. That's pretty. I would say that's a pretty tough start to your Big East schedule with a new team going to Xavier. I don't think they're going to be top 10, obviously, but they're still always going to be very good. So that's a big game. And then following that up with Marquette at home. Yes, Marquette lost some key cogs from the team last year, but at least we got Marquette at home to kick it off, and it's on a Saturday. By the way, I just want to throw this out here as we go through this. I think I saw Rob tweet out or send out an email and tweet out that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6. Am I right? 6? Yeah, I think I am. 6 Saturday home games. We've never had that. Remember those years, the first years we got the big, we'd have like one Saturday game. We'd be like, what the heck? So I would think because we don't have, like a lot of the schools in our conference have, professional teams, whether it be hockey and or basketball, they have to work around their schedules. And generally speaking, those teams play at 11 a.m. in the morning. Games are at 11 a.m. in the morning, so they can flip the arena around for basketball or hockey at night. We don't have that. So I'm guessing we're going to have a fair share at night. Now, TV, right, is a big thing. We don't know the TV schedule.
Right.
And generally speaking, they want to have high caliber games. Doesn't Fox have a big Saturday night game every Saturday night? I think they do. But we also have, they're trying to build the Peacock brand. So I will bet your bottom dollar we will have a fair amount of games on Peacock if they're Saturday night games.
I was going to say I'd love to see the TV schedule with each of these two. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, right.
A lot this year.
The cool thing for us, excuse me, is that because of the time zone in the Big East, they can shove us to the late game if they're going to do any kind of double headers. So I would be prepared. A lot of those Saturday games could be like 8:30 games, so they can maybe have a Big Ten game on first. And
those
then
are the best home crowds, the late night Saturday games.
Oh, we can't have Villanova and Georgetown because that's on the East Coast. Hey, we can have Creighton and Marquette. Let's throw that in there. So that's going to be kind of cool. So then we go back into non-conference because Mac always likes to schedule, excuse me, a what do you call a bye game and a very easy bye game before he goes to Christmas. Because if you remember, we've played some games where they've really mattered. And you got to understand, these are still 18, 19, 20-year-old men, all right? And they hit the court, and let's say you're playing, let me think of somebody. Let's say you're playing Colorado State on that last game, okay? Game you should win at home, but awful little game that you could lose if you don't bring your stuff. Those guys have one foot on the CHI floor. The other foot is headed to the airport to get on a plane and go home.
Yep.
And so the focus is never 100% there. So that he always likes to schedule a game where, hey, if our focus is a little down, we can still win and get out of there with a win. So anyway, that's the Utah Tech game. And then we go full-blown into the Big East schedule. Kick it off with a Tuesday game with Butler. That's a nice start. And then a 2-game road swing. Seton Hall, Villanova. I think that's doable. I think that's a 3-0 doable stretch there, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, four of those 5 teams I have at the bottom half of the Big East for projections. I think that's a really good way to enter in the conference play. I think Xavier's going to have a little bit of a down year. Marquette lost a lot of key pieces. I'm sure Shaka will have them competitive like always, but they definitely lost a lot. And then, Butler and Seton Hall are obviously going to be most likely bottom of the Big East as well. So I think it's a good way to segue into Big East play.
So I would think, if you're just spitballing here, I would think we should be 4-1 in that stretch right there.
I think it's, fair.
Yeah. Then we have a 2-game homestand. Saturday we play St. John's. Tuesday we play Georgetown. St. John's is going to be, I'm not falling into the trap I did last year when I looked at the roster and went, okay. And you forget Rick Pitino's on the sideline. So, and he went out and got more shooters this year. So maybe some of the names you see aren't the marquee names maybe you saw last year. But, I kind of always felt A.J. Lewis kind of came out of nowhere last year. And maybe that's just being ignorant because he was a good player the year before. But he really, really upped his game. But they didn't have the shooters, and he got some more shooters this year. And I guess the main name Creighton remembers is Bryce Hopkins. He was at Providence. He's gone through some serious injury problems. So how much does he have in the tank is going to be to see. At any rate, and I know we think we can win every home game, and we can, but there's a possibility for a loss. And oddly enough, there's a possibility for a loss for that second game with Georgetown because he kind of just coming off a St. John's game, especially if you win that game, then you're already looking past, the next game and so forth. We go to Providence on a Friday, and then we come back home for Xavier on a Wednesday. So a nice break in there. And then we go back on Tuesday. So we have almost a week. Yeah, that's a nice break in there where we only play, what do we play? We play 2 games in the course of 2 weeks.
Yep. That'll be a good mid-season break.
Yeah, so that's really huge. We can, as Mac always likes to say, he goes, I like to work on ourselves once in a while, So that's a nice break. With at Providence, Xavier home, at Marquette. It's a tough one on a Tuesday night. And then on the 31st, obviously a game everybody circles every year, that's UConn at home. I would be surprised if that's not a big time, Fox game on a Saturday night.
That's probably the first hardest stretch of the season right there. At Marquette, UConn at home, and then at Georgetown. That'll be a tough 1 week with 3 games.
We never play well at Georgetown, it seems like.
Yeah, that'll be a tough stretch.
So, yeah, that's a tough stretch. You think maybe you come out there with 1, you'd be happy. That other stretch where we had St. John's, Georgetown, Providence, Xavier, that's a doable 3 of the 4 at home. That's a doable 3-1 stretch, certainly. So I think we said 4-1, 3-1, so that's 7-2, and then if you go 1-2, that's 8-4. So that's you're right there. You're right there at the top of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Then we soften up a little bit. We got Seton Hall at home at DePaul, who I think is just going to keep getting better under Holtzman, and then Villanova at home. So that's a really nice 3-game stretch there. Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday is the way that falls. And then we're back on the road on a Wednesday night at UConn. They haven't decided that's going to be in Stores or Hartford yet. And what a brutal road trip, back to back UConn St. John's.
I feel like we did that last year too. A couple days apart at UConn at St. John's. It's a tough stretch there.
Now Mac likes to stay out there, so
it makes sense.
Yeah, he likes to do though. He'd like to do Wednesday, Saturday. If it's Wednesday, Sunday, then he would come home. But so that makes sense. Gosh, if we can get one of those, it'd be really, really nice. So let's say we do that's 9-5, and then we close it out. And I'm probably way off. Oh, I skipped some games. Yeah, it'd be at 12-5, wouldn't it? Yeah, 12-5, and then we have DePaul and Providence at home and at Butler. Butler on a Wednesday night, not a Saturday, at 11 a.m. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, we'll take it.
So that could be 3 games. So you could, way too early to project a schedule, and we'll obviously spend show after show after show doing that. But 15-5 is doable. 500 is also in the cards.
I think overall the Big East is going to be pretty down this year. I will be curious to see how it all ends up. But other than the normal St. John's, UConn, Marquette, Creighton, the rest of the teams are just, I think they're going to struggle. So I think there's definitely a window for Creighton to get a good conference record.
And so we'll have a senior day / night on February 28th because that's our last home game. So that's 2 weeks before the Big East final. Now, here's an anomaly in this schedule. Every year, one team can't play on that last Saturday when they have all the games. And this year, it's us. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you may say, oh, man, that kind of sucks. Now we have – it does and it doesn't because you have a whole week off to get ready for the Big East tournament, which is kind of nice. You give the guys a little bit of a blow. That's kind of during finals, too. Or midterms, I should say. Right. Personally, and I know some people that hang out at Let Fly as regulars, personally, this works out beautifully because get the caravan ready. We're all going to St. Louis to watch Murray State in the Mo Valley tournament. Just like the old days. This will be awesome. Awesome. So, yeah, I think that's about as good as we could hope for a schedule, right? I mean, the only one you just go, oh my God, is that UConn St. John's
road trip,
but it's sandwiched with Villanova, with DePaul on the road, Villanova at home, and then on the backside, DePaul and Providence at home. So I think from that perspective, it's a nice little run there.
Yeah, I think who do you think is going to win the Big East?
I've not, I've not really looked at it. Hearing good things out of UConn, people that have gone and watched them in their preseason workouts. I think Marquette will be better than people think. They brought in some nice pieces.
I'll be really curious to see how Ben Gold looks this year.
I think St. John's has got to be listed as one of the, if not the favorite.
I would agree. I think, with him adding shooters and with how good of a defensive coach he is, I think St. John's is going to be very good this year.
It'll be interesting to see if Butler and DePaul, and I throw Georgetown into that hopper too, how much they improve. Georgetown lost Sorber, though. That's huge. That was the one guy they could lean on last year.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think Villanova, finally those guys that have been there 10 years finally graduated, so or have been graduated for a couple of years and kept playing college basketball. So they've got to get some, although they have some good recruits coming in. I know that. Don't know what Providence is going to look like. But yeah, I think I think you're right, AJ. I think there's going to be kind of as things shake out. There's going to be a separation of like 3 at the top, and then a little bit step down to maybe 2 or 3 in that middling, and then there's going to be a bottom 5.
Yep.
And I can't tell you who the bottom 5 are, but I would, if I had to guess right now, I'd say Seton Hall, Butler, DePaul are in that mix, and certainly Georgetown, Villanova could be in that mix along with Xavier. So
Yeah, I was going to say I'd put Xavier in that last 5 for sure. I think they're going to struggle this year, especially with a new coach, but who's to say?
yeah. Well, there you have it. That's the schedule. And like we said, the cool thing is we have so many home Saturday games that we could have a ton of home Saturday night games, which would be awesome. I like it. We don't have no Sunday games interfering with the NFL playoffs. Beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. We even
I
have
don't know if the Vikings will be in the playoffs, so.
yeah, they will. They have a Friday game in there too, so there you got a whole weekend open. So I love it during the playoffs. Well, yeah, but it's not just me. I mean, there's tons of NFL fans.
I know.
It just sucks when a big. I remember there was one big game. We had a Saturday afternoon game, and there was or Sunday afternoon, and it was a huge. Like I think it was Philadelphia and Green Bay were like, the 2 best NFC playing that day. And I remember the concourse, the Bud Light Zone, at halftime. There was nobody in the arena. Everybody was packed there in front of TVs watching the game. You go at the concourse, it's packed.
Most people prioritize football. I'm not one of those people, but most people do.
Yeah. When it gets down to the playoffs and especially if there's the Chiefs are involved, obviously local teams. There's a lot of support for 3 of the 4 NFC Central. Green Bay's nationwide, Dallas nationwide. Chiefs around here are big. Denver's kind of big around here, and you always have Raider fans sprinkled in everywhere, and you get more Eagle fans and so forth. So, all right, well, there's the schedule. We will do many shows on this before the season starts. I mean, we've got 6 weeks till we actually get into the beginning of the schedule November 5th. So, we'll be doing a lot of shows where we do predictions. We'll bring several guys on, AJ and other guys, and we'll just kind of do a round table and kind of keep track. And we'll do that'll be on the final one, probably that week before we start the schedule. But at any rate, all right. Hey, thanks. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoy the weekend. Don't forget about the volleyball tonight. AJ, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
And we will see everybody next week for another edition of Blue Jay Banner.